Welcome to my channel. If you don't know who I am, I'm Kat. Nice to meet you. So let's just get right into it. Since you know the title, yes, I am currently pregnant with identical twins, identical twin boys. I am MODI, so that means I've got one placenta and two separate sacs. So it's the better of the two, like only one placentas. So you could have Momo or be MODI. I'm MODI. And it's a very long story of how we even got pregnant to begin with, because we had to go through IVF to even get pregnant, and then our embryo split and now we're having twins. So let's just say back in, when was our transfer date? February, I think. I want to say February, but it could have been later. I'll have to do a video on our IVF journey a separate time. But we transferred, the embryo split, we found out we're having monodi identical twins, boys, and it's been a journey. And so now I am currently, right now, 31 weeks and 3 days pregnant with the boys. So when I went into preterm labor, today is the day after Labor Day, September 6th. I went into labor on August 28th, so a week and some days ago. And I'm just now filming this because I'm better now. I am currently on some antibiotics still, but let's just get into it. So Sunday, we are going to a restaurant to celebrate my mother-in-law's birthday, and around 5 p.m. we start heading to the restaurant, picking her up, and I just noticed that I was having a little bit of contractions. And because I was so early, I just assumed it was just Braxton Hicks, that it was normal and, you know, just part of twin pregnancy. And I had my perinatal services call me, I think when I was 24 weeks or 26 weeks along. I can't remember, but we established like what to look for if I'm going into preterm labor. And one of the things were, if I have 7 contractions in an hour, I would need to call and see what I should do. Anywho, so I just noticed that I was having a little bit of contraction. I didn't even really know I was having contractions. I was thinking more on the lines of having pressure. It just felt like pressure, because when there's 2 inside your belly, it's always tight, and it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like one of the babies is turning, I guess. But it started off pressure, but then it would last for a certain time and then it would stop. So then I was thinking, okay, this feels more like a contraction, so I'm gonna start paying attention to when I'm having this pressure. And so I started tracking it, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm kind of having a lot of contractions. So we get through dinner. It was pretty far away from my house, so we drove back, and I started really timing how often I was having contractions. And I think in the 30-minute car ride back home, I had 6 contractions, I want to say. And my husband was a little bit nervous. He's in the medical field, and I was too before I became a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, we were a little bit worried, so I decided to call the services, and they told me what I needed to do, which I expected, lie on your side, drink water, pee, and then lie on your side for an hour, and then track how many contractions you have in the hour. So that started at 8 p.m. at night. I laid there for an hour, tracked it, and at 9 p.m. I called back the perinatal services and told them I had 13 contractions in that hour. So needless to say, they immediately told me I need to go to labor and delivery and get checked out. So I went to the closest hospital to me that does not have a NICU, but just to get checked, because I figured I'm only 30 weeks. I think I was 30 weeks in one day. Yeah, I was 30 weeks and 1 day pregnant. And I just was like, this is way too early to be in labor. So it's fine. I'll just go to my local L&D. So I get there, they check me in. They check all of my vital signs. They check the babies. The babies are doing great. The heart rates are amazing. Everything was fine except for I was having all of these contractions. And what was funny was the nurse that was taking care of me told me she had about 6 women on her L&D floor that she was taking care of that were induced and weren't having nearly as many contractions as I was, and they're trying to stop mine. So while they were hooking me up to all of these things, they put IV fluid on me. They started giving me this blood pressure medication to actually stop my contractions. My blood pressure is normally really low, so they were really monitoring my blood pressure the whole time that I was on this medication, and it seemed like it was sustaining pretty well. But I took 5 of those pills every 20 minutes, and it did nothing for my contractions at all. The IV fluid didn't do anything for me. So anyway, the OBGYN that was on that night came in and checked me right when I got there, cervical check, and I was, I think, 0 centimeters, but she was just worried because I was contracting so much. And they were painful at this point now. I couldn't talk through them. I had to breathe and kind of just get in a mindset of, meditation almost. And so anyway, she said that she was going to come back and check me in an hour. So she did. And then at that hour, I was 1 centimeter dilated. And so it was making her a little nervous that I was starting to dilate and the contractions weren't stopping. And so she said she'll check me back in an hour. And so by this time, I think it was around 12 o'clock, she's checked me. And I was already at 2 centimeters. So in 2 hours, I dilated 2 centimeters and my contractions were not stopping. So, and none of the medications were touching me at this point. In fact, the contractions were getting worse, more painful, and they were also closer together. So she deemed me as I was going into preterm labor, and they needed to transfer me to a high-risk hospital that had a NICU in case I was delivering these boys. So I'm laughing because it just was so, I was not prepared. I didn't even have my hospital bag packed. I literally went with a cardigan, a dress, and a water bottle, and like my phone and chapstick. I had literally nothing on me. So what happened was, once they decided I was going into labor and that they really needed to stop what was happening and have more of an intervention with a hospital that has a NICU in case something were to go wrong or sideways, I should say. They asked me where I wanted to deliver. I told them which hospital we decided, and they checked to see if I could transfer there. And there was a room available, so they immediately got the paperwork started for that. And within not even an hour, ambulance was there to transfer me to the high-risk hospital with the NICU. So while in the ambulance, I was getting monitored with how often my contractions were and how long they were. My contractions in the ambulance were 3 minutes apart, and I think my length of time for each contraction was 35 seconds long. So they were brief. I feel like they were brief, but they were very often. And so they were, when we were in the ambulance, the nurse was telling the driver, you need to be going code 3. So like the sirens were going, and I laughed at them and I said, you guys really don't want to have twins in this ambulance, do you? And they're like, no, we don't. We need you to be in the hospital. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I was rushed there. We got there really fast because it was like in the middle of the evening or early morning now. I think it was like 1:32. I got to my hospital that I'm gonna be delivering at, and they check me, they do everything just the same thing. One of the things that was done at my hospital were a bunch of tests. So they did my COVID test, they did my strep B test, excuse me, they did a urine test. I don't think they did anything, and I had already taken my Tdap, so my whooping cough was done. But they started me on medications because the strep test is not going to come back in time. So I started ampicillin, I think, and then I was also on the blood pressure medication, so that would stop my contractions. So that was still going. I was on IV fluids. I can't remember what else I was on, but I was on a lot of medications, and the medications were supposed to help me stop going into labor. So they just kept monitoring me, and they kept monitoring the baby's heart rates and my contractions. They were not lessening. They just only increased more and more. But when I got checked there, I was still only 2 centimeters dilated. I was only, I was still only 50% effaced, and I was still in like -3 stations. So I hadn't progressed anymore since the first hospital. So they were excited about that, but they also just needed to keep checking me. So I was in a lot of pain. I didn't even take pain medication at all because the medication that I was on, magnesium. It was magnesium. Magnesium really makes you feel horrible. So my mind wasn't even like in the right place at all. So I didn't even ask for pain medicine, really. I was so loopy and out of it, and I was in a lot of pain from the contractions, and I just was trying to breathe through it. So anyway, after I'd been on the medications for quite some time, I finally started noticing that my contractions were lessening, and I didn't feel them as much. They seemed farther apart. And so I just kept getting checked, and it just seemed like the laboring was fading, and that the meds were working. So anyway, that's basically what happened. They just kept checking me. I was able to eat after the 24 hours, I think, because by that time they could tell the meds were working and they didn't need to keep me NPO, so in case I needed to go into surgery for a cesarean, which I do need to do a cesarean because my baby is breech, so there's not even a possibility of having a vaginal delivery. So I think baby A is breech. Actually, I think they're both breech. They're like transverse. One's butt's like down here. Yeah, they're like bunk beds, and I think now they're kind of like yin and yang, but it's still not the best. And honestly, with monodive, I think the safest way of having them is to just have the cesarean. Safe for me, safe for them, safe for everybody. So that's why I was NPO. They were thinking I was going to be going into surgery if they couldn't stop the labor. So I was finally able to eat on day 2 of this like crazy whirlwind hospital stay. So anyway, I had like a run at the hospital. I finally went to the hospital I'm going to deliver at and see what the L&D is like, the nurses, mother-baby unit. And so I feel much more prepared for the things that I want to bring to the hospital for this twin delivery, because with my singleton, I had a vaginal birth and it was great, amazing. Like, I knew what to expect for that, but it was a little bit intimidating with having twins and what to pack and all that. So I kind of now know what I want to bring, and also I went to the hospital, so I know what they have, what they don't have, what the hospital has in terms of like food and like just storage, like drawers where I could put my stuff, where I could put my husband's stuff, all of that stuff. And I got to ask a lot of questions to the nurses about what I would bring and all that. So how many times can I say stuff? It was great. I'm happy that they're still in there. I am having, I'm still on antibiotics because I got, from all of the cervical checks and stuff, I got a UTI. So I am on antibiotics for that, which, you know, I get. It's okay. It is what it is. But I was able to ask the nurses all kinds of that stuff in regards to what I should bring and kind of what to expect with the cesarean and all of that. So I'll probably try to upload a what's in my hospital bag for twins next, because I feel like there's not a lot of twin hospital bag videos out there, and maybe it would be beneficial for people to see what I end up bringing for a cesarean for twins. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I've been home. I'm still contracting a little bit, but nowhere near the point of what it was, so that's great. And so I'm just resting, and I'm also nesting. I've been just trying to get the house ready, just because now I'm mentally, you know, we only have a little bit less than 5 weeks to go until we deliver. So I'm kind of like in panic mode after having this preterm labor. So anyway, that's my story. It's great. I wanted to share it because I feel like preterm labor for twins is such a scary like thing that you're always worried about during your pregnancy. There's so many things to worry about in a twin pregnancy and to stress about. But I want you to know that there are medications that do work, that can help you stop labor. I mean, if the babies want to come, they're going to come, I guess. But I do believe that the medical staff really, like, and pay attention to your body too, of course. You know, I think a lot of the reason why everything worked out was because I was paying attention to what was going on with my body and deciding I should probably call in and get this checked out. So listen to your body. Also know that there's lots of medications that can help you and stop preterm labor, and they do work. They worked for me at least. And then these babies are gonna bake a little bit longer and it'll be great. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.